Stop throwing your money away on expensive daily multivitamins that your aging body is literally flushing directly down the toilet. They never told you this in your standard rushed 15-minute doctor visits, but the terrifying reality is that the moment you cross the threshold of 60 years old, your digestive tract undergoes a massive, silent, and irreversible transformation. You could be eating the absolute healthiest, most pristine diet on the planet, but if your internal biological machinery can no longer extract and absorb the crucial nutrients from that food, you are literally starving on a microscopic cellular level. As a clinical researcher and medical professional who has spent over 3 decades obsessively studying the physiological changes of cellular aging, I am here today to pull back the curtain on a supplement industry that desperately wants you to keep buying useless pills. Just last year, a landmark peer-reviewed study published by the Gerontological Society of America revealed a chilling statistic. An astonishing 73% of adults over the age of 65 are currently living with severe deficiencies in at least 3 critical, life-sustaining micronutrients. This is not because they are making poor food choices. It is because their gut has fundamentally lost the chemical and physical ability to absorb them. As we age past 60, our stomach acid plummets, our delicate intestinal lining degrades, and our cellular receptors simply go to sleep. Today, I am going to walk you through exactly which 7 nutrients your body has abruptly stopped absorbing, and more importantly, how to chemically trick your aging biology into taking them in again. I have linked all the scientific references in the description box below. But I must strongly warn you, make absolutely sure you stick around for number 1 on this countdown list, because the severe deficiency in our number 1 nutrient is frequently and tragically misdiagnosed as early onset Alzheimer's disease. Properly fixing this specific absorption issue can sometimes reverse years of cognitive decline in just a few short weeks. Before we dive into this critical biological countdown, I want to hear directly from you. Please pause the video, head down to the comments section, and tell me your current age and what your absolute biggest daily health struggle is right now. Is it chronic joint pain, exhausting brain fog, or muscle weakness? I read every single comment because your real-world stories help me figure out exactly what cutting-edge research to focus on next. So let us get started with our countdown, ranked from the 7th most important all the way down to the absolute most critical nutrient your aging body is missing. Coming in at number 7 on our list of crucial nutrients your body is actively rejecting is the master relaxation and nerve-calming mineral, magnesium. Imagine magnesium as the master conductor of an incredibly complex biological orchestra, a mineral that directly controls and regulates over 300 different vital biochemical reactions in your aging body, from keeping your heart beating in a steady rhythm to allowing your tense muscles to physically relax. But here is the dramatic truth that most people do not understand about getting older. As you age, your kidneys become aggressive at flushing magnesium out through your urine, while your fragile intestines simultaneously become terribly inefficient at absorbing it. Researchers at the Yale University School of Medicine recently demonstrated that by the time you reach 70 years old, your body permanently loses roughly 35% of its physical ability to pull magnesium through the intestinal wall compared to when you were 30. This biological roadblock happens because of a subtle but highly destructive chronic increase in systemic internal inflammation, a condition the medical community calls inflammaging. This steady background inflammation physically stiffens the microscopic cellular gates, specifically the transport channels that normally invite magnesium inside your cells. I saw this exact debilitating phenomenon with a patient named Margaret, a previously vibrant 72-year-old from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Margaret came to my clinic in tears, complaining of severe nighttime calf cramps, a racing heartbeat, and an agonizing inability to sleep. Her previous doctors had lazily prescribed dangerous muscle relaxers. When we tested her intracellular magnesium, her levels were shockingly low. We immediately bypassed her stubborn digestive tract entirely and got her on a highly absorbable protocol. Within 2 weeks, Margaret was sleeping deeply and taking vigorous morning walks without a single cramp. The secret to getting these results is knowing how to prepare and take it. Avoid the cheap drugstore supplement known as magnesium oxide at all costs, as it has a miserable 4% absorption rate. Instead, seek out the chelated form known as magnesium glycinate. The optimal dosage is between 300 and 400 milligrams taken roughly 1 hour before bedtime to maximize its sedative effects. And here is your science-backed synergy tip. You must always pair your daily magnesium with a small dose of vitamin B6. Think of vitamin B6 as the precise delivery truck that actively escorts the heavy magnesium molecules straight through your rigid cell membranes and directly into the mitochondria, the energy-producing factories of your cells. Moving to number 6 on our countdown, we must talk about a heavy mineral aggressively marketed to seniors for decades, yet completely misunderstood, and that is calcium. For years, the massive dairy industry and pharmaceutical companies have pushed enormous calcium pills on older adults, promising to build strong bones and prevent hip fractures. But the shocking, almost conspiratorial reality is that simply swallowing a giant, chalky calcium carbonate horse pill after the age of 65 is biologically useless and potentially dangerous to your cardiovascular health. According to a longitudinal analysis by researchers at the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, calcium absorption drops by an astonishing 40% after women pass menopause and men cross the age of 70. Why exactly does this metabolic disaster happen? Because aging stomachs organically produce significantly less hydrochloric acid, the highly corrosive chemical liquid desperately needed to chemically dissolve heavy, rock-like dietary minerals. When you swallow cheap calcium on an aging, low-acid stomach, it simply cannot dissolve. It floats around your bloodstream like microscopic gravel. Instead of being driven into your skeletal system, it aggressively calcifies inside your delicate arteries, massively increasing your risk of heart disease. To completely overcome this biological roadblock, you have to fundamentally change your approach. First, switch from the poorly absorbed calcium carbonate to a highly bioavailable form called calcium citrate, which does not require a highly acidic stomach to be broken down. Furthermore, never take more than 500 milligrams of calcium at a single time. Your aging intestinal receptors simply cannot physically process more than that in a single sitting. Take it in smaller, divided doses throughout the day, ideally alongside a light meal to organically stimulate natural digestive juices. And for your mandatory synergy tip, remember this golden rule. Never take a calcium supplement in pure isolation. You absolutely must pair it with vitamin K2, specifically the MK7 form. If dietary calcium is the raw brick needed to rebuild your failing skeleton, vitamin K2 is the highly trained, microscopic construction worker who physically takes those dangerous bricks out of your fragile arteries and forcefully cements them directly into your bone matrix exactly where they naturally belong. Our number 5 poorly absorbed nutrient is the single most important dietary fat in the human body, omega-3 fatty acids, specifically the highly active, brain-saving forms known mathematically as EPA and DHA. If you want to know why your joints feel like grinding, rusty hinges when you wake up, or why you walk into a room and completely forget why you went in there, look no further than your rapidly plummeting omega-3 absorption rates. These specialized slippery fats are the absolute foundational building blocks of your physical brain tissue and the primary extinguishing fluid for systemic joint inflammation. But there is a massive biological catch that the billion-dollar fish oil companies are purposefully hiding from you. As we cross into our 60s and 70s, our aging liver naturally produces significantly less digestive bile, and our pancreas secretes far fewer fat-digesting enzymes known medically as lipases. Clinical data from the University of California, Los Angeles Longevity Center aggressively reveals that a healthy 75-year-old physically absorbs nearly 50% less of the crucial DHA brain-boosting fats from their diet compared to a healthy 25-year-old. This frustrating mathematical reality means you could literally be eating wild-caught Alaskan salmon 3 times a week and still be severely starving your aging brain. Let me tell you about Robert, a 68-year-old retired aviation mechanic from Austin, Texas, who was absolutely terrified he was rapidly losing his mind. He was struggling daily to recall the names of tools he had used for 40 years, and his hands were so swollen with throbbing arthritis he could barely hold a wrench. He had been taking cheap drugstore fish oil capsules for years with zero medical results. Once we analyzed his blood work and realized his aging gallbladder simply could not process those poorly formulated fats, we completely changed his biological protocol. We switched him to a highly emulsified triglyceride form omega-3 supplement, delivering 2,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA daily. By utilizing an emulsified oil, we basically pre-digested the heavy fat for him. Fast forward 3 months and Robert was joyfully back in his garage restoring a classic car, his memory razor sharp and his fingers flexible. To get these restorative results, the optimal timing strategy is to strictly take your premium omega-3s with your absolute heaviest, largest meal of the entire day. Choose a meal that already contains healthy dietary fats like extra virgin olive oil to naturally stimulate your gallbladder to release digestive bile. For your critical synergy tip, always pair your fragile omega-3s with a potent antioxidant like vitamin E or astaxanthin. Fish oils are highly unstable molecules that easily oxidize and turn rancid in the warm, 98-degree environment of your body. Vitamin E acts as an impenetrable biological shield, keeping the precious omega-3s perfectly pristine as they safely travel through your complex bloodstream. We have now arrived at number 4 on our critical countdown, and this crucial mineral is the absolute impenetrable fortress of your entire immune system: zinc. Zinc is the exact biological trigger switch that aggressively activates your white blood cells, the heavily armed, microscopic soldiers that relentlessly hunt down and destroy invading respiratory viruses and dangerous bacteria. Yet it is currently estimated by the brilliant researchers at the renowned Linus Pauling Institute that up to 45% of all adults over the age of 65 have dangerously inadequate internal zinc levels, leaving them wide open to severe infections. The biological reason for this sheer vulnerability is a devastating double-edged sword of the natural aging process. First, the severe age-related drop in your highly acidic stomach fluids makes it incredibly difficult to chemically liberate tightly bound zinc from healthy foods like pumpkin seeds and red meats. Second, older adults naturally experience a heavy chronic burden of systemic bodily inflammation. This background inflammation actively triggers the aging body to produce a specific defensive protein that actually traps free zinc directly inside the liver tissue, forcefully pulling it out of the active blood supply, so your vulnerable immune system can no longer properly access it. This complex biological hostage situation is exactly why a common head cold that used to quickly clear up in 3 days now stubbornly lingers for 3 exhausting weeks. To completely overcome this dangerous immunity trap, you must scientifically bypass your digestive limitations entirely. When choosing a protective zinc preparation, actively avoid zinc sulfate, which is incredibly harsh on the stomach lining and poorly absorbed. Instead, seek out the highly bioavailable forms known as zinc picolinate or zinc bisglycinate. The optimal daily dosage for a vulnerable aging adult is generally strictly around 15 to 30 milligrams per day. You absolutely want to take it alongside a solid, substantial meal to completely avoid intense waves of nausea. But here is the most critical timing tip you will ever hear regarding this mineral. Do not ever take your daily zinc supplement at the exact same time as your morning calcium pill or alongside your morning bowl of high-fiber bran cereal. Heavy calcium and rough dietary compounds called phytates found in whole grains act exactly like biological magnets, tightly binding to the free zinc molecules in your digestive tract and rendering them totally unabsorbable. Take your protective zinc at lunchtime, entirely far away from morning dairy habits. And for your massive immune-boosting synergy tip, Forcefully pair your daily zinc with a natural compound called quercetin. Quercetin acts as a powerful biological zinc ionophore. Think of quercetin as an exclusive VIP access pass that physically forces open the locked protective doors of your aging cells, allowing the crucial zinc molecules to rapidly flood directly inside the cellular matrix to heavily arm your viral-fighting white blood cells. We are about to dive into the top 3 most shockingly poorly absorbed nutrients in the aging human body, including the one directly tied to catastrophic memory loss. But before we get to number 3, if you are finding this deep dive into the hidden science of cellular aging helpful, please take a brief second to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up right now. The YouTube algorithm is incredibly strict, and by actively engaging with this video, you are directly helping this crucial medical information reach thousands of other vulnerable seniors struggling with highly confusing mainstream medical advice. Your continued support is exactly what allows me to keep researching and making these fully independent, heavily science-backed videos for you every single week without ever relying on corporate pharmaceutical sponsors. Now let us get aggressively back into the critical countdown with number 3. Coming in at number 3 is the absolute single most heavily misunderstood macronutrient in the entire senior community, dietary protein, and specifically the essential amino acids it contains. You might be sitting there thinking you eat plenty of roasted chicken and morning eggs, and therefore you are definitely getting enough protein. But you are tragically falling victim to a silent biological phenomenon known in the medical literature as anabolic resistance. As you age past 60, your aging muscle fibers essentially become completely deaf to the powerful biological signal that dietary protein naturally sends. When you were a vibrant 20 years old, eating just 15 grams of protein was completely enough to instantly stimulate your young muscle fibers to rapidly rebuild and grow stronger. But researchers at McMaster University have definitively proven that due to stiffening aging cell receptors, a 70-year-old body mathematically requires almost exactly double the amount of high-quality protein in a single sitting just to trigger that exact same necessary muscle-building response. If you continually fail to hit this highly elevated biological threshold at your daily meals, your aging body actively begins cannibalizing and literally eating your own precious muscle tissue just to survive the day, leading directly to terrible physical frailty and a total loss of physical independence. I treated a remarkable woman named Sarah, a 78-year-old retired teacher from Portland, Oregon, who had slowly become so physically frail she was terrified of walking down her own wooden front steps. She was unknowingly eating incredibly small, bird-like meals, usually a dry piece of toast and a tiny piece of fish. She was rapidly losing critical muscle mass because she never once reached the high critical threshold needed to forcefully overcome her severe anabolic resistance. We instituted a highly strategic protein protocol, heavily emphasizing highly bioavailable whey protein isolate, a pure form of protein requiring virtually zero digestive effort to break down into rapidly absorbable amino acids. We forcefully increased her nutritional intake to a strict 30 grams of high-quality protein per major meal. The physical transformation was visually miraculous. Within 8 short weeks, Sarah had powerfully regained almost 3 solid pounds of dense, lean muscle mass. Her physical balance was completely restored, and she was safely marching up and down her stairs. To practically apply this strategy, consciously consume between 25 and 35 grams of highly bioavailable protein at every single meal. The optimal timing trick is to ensure your very first meal of the day is heavily protein dominant to rapidly pull your aging body out of the highly destructive, muscle-wasting state of your overnight fasting period. And for your ultimate muscle-saving synergy tip, pair your daily protein intake with the incredibly powerful amino acid called leucine. Leucine is the actual physical biological trigger switch that powerfully turns on the body's internal machinery for muscle protein synthesis. By adding just 2 to 3 extra grams of free-form leucine powder directly to your meals, you chemically trick your old, tired muscles into acting vibrantly young again. We are down to our final two most critical nutrients, and number two is currently causing an absolute silent health crisis in the global senior community: vitamin D3. For our entire adult lives, we have been told that vitamin D is simply the happy sunshine vitamin, and taking a stroll outside is more than enough to stay healthy. But the medical establishment is hiding a massive physiological roadblock from you. As your delicate skin visibly ages, it literally loses the internal cellular machinery required to properly convert ultraviolet sunlight into the biologically active precursor of vitamin D. In fact, a highly detailed study formally published in the prestigious American Journal of Clinical Nutrition definitively showed that a healthy 70-year-old adult naturally produces roughly 75% less usable vitamin D from the exact same amount of direct sun exposure as a 20-year-old. Furthermore, even if you are dutifully taking a standard daily supplement, vitamin D is a highly fat-soluble hormone that absolutely requires incredibly robust gallbladder function and heavily acidic stomach juices to be successfully absorbed into your intestinal lining. Because both of those vital digestive functions drastically plummet after the age of 60, you are highly likely absorbing only a microscopic fraction of the expensive pills you faithfully swallow every morning. This severe internal deficiency leads directly to a highly compromised immune system, rapid bone density loss, and a dark blanket of age-related clinical depression. To properly absorb vitamin D3 in your senior years, approach the problem highly scientifically. First, throw away any outdated prescription vitamin D2 your doctor might have lazily given you. It is a cheap, highly inefficient plant-based form that your human body severely struggles to utilize. You must fiercely demand vitamin D3, which is the exact bioidentical molecule your own body naturally produces. Most older adults mathematically require between 4,000 and 5,000 international units daily just to maintain healthy protective blood levels, though you should verify this specific number with your doctor through a routine blood test. You absolutely must deliberately take your high-dose vitamin D3 right smack in the middle of the absolute largest, fattiest, most dense meal of your entire day. Without the heavy presence of thick dietary fat to gracefully dissolve into, this crucial vitamin will simply pass straight through your dark digestive tract, completely unabsorbed. And your absolute crucial synergy tip here is vital for your ongoing cardiovascular safety. You must always carefully pair your high-dose vitamin D3 with both magnesium and vitamin K2. Magnesium is chemically required by your liver to physically convert the raw, inactive vitamin D stored in your tissues into the active, potent, hormonal form your aging cells can actually use. Meanwhile, the protective vitamin K2 firmly ensures that the massive, sudden wave of heavy calcium your new vitamin D levels will pull from your diet gets aggressively directed exclusively into your porous skeleton, rather than dangerously calcifying your delicate heart valves. And finally, we have reached the absolute number one most critical, life-altering nutrient that your aging body aggressively stops absorbing as you get older. The single terrifying deficiency that perfectly mimics the exact devastating symptoms of late-stage dementia, aggressive Alzheimer's disease, and profound neurological decay. That absolutely vital nutrient is vitamin B12. The hidden physiological science behind this specific deficiency is incredibly complex and highly urgent for anyone over 60. Unlike almost every other simple vitamin on Earth, B12 does not just easily and passively absorb into your body when you swallow it. It strictly requires a highly complex, fragile, multi-step biological escort service. When you chew a piece of red steak, the precious B12 is tightly bound like a knot to the animal protein. Your aging stomach must forcefully produce incredibly strong, burning hydrochloric acid to physically rip the B12 away from that meat protein. Then, your stomach lining must successfully produce a fragile transport protein known medically as intrinsic factor, which chemically grabs onto the newly freed B12, safely escorts it all the way down the long acidic tunnel to the end of your small intestine, and physically unlocks a specific cellular door to finally let it cross safely into your vulnerable bloodstream. But here is the devastating medical reality. By the time you reach the age of 65, over 30% of all older adults silently develop a hidden condition called atrophic gastritis, a painless internal inflammation that completely and permanently destroys the specific stomach cells uniquely responsible for producing both the required stomach acid and the vital intrinsic factor. A massive landmark clinical study from Tufts University shockingly demonstrated that up to a staggering 40% of older adults are currently severely deficient in vitamin B12, tragically suffering from highly mysterious memory loss, agonizing numbness in their hands and feet, profound crushing exhaustion, and a literal physical shrinking of their brain volume. They are dutifully eating enough meat, but without adequate stomach acid and without intrinsic factor, the precious B12 simply passes entirely through their aging body like an invisible ghost. I will absolutely never forget my patient Richard, an 81-year-old retired airline pilot from Miami, Florida. Richard's heartbroken family brought him into my clinic entirely convinced he was deep in the tragic, late stages of aggressive Alzheimer's disease. He was incredibly confused. He could barely walk across the room without dangerously stumbling due to severe nerve damage in his feet, and his previously commanding personality had totally flattened out. His previous physicians had basically told the weeping family to start looking into expensive nursing homes. I quickly ran a highly comprehensive metabolic blood panel, and his intracellular B12 levels were practically non-existent. Because his aging stomach was structurally broken due to atrophic gastritis, giving him standard B12 pills to swallow would have been completely useless. We had to forcefully bypass his completely ruined digestive tract entirely to save his brain. We immediately started him on highly bioavailable sublingual methylcobalamin, deliberately placing a massive 5,000 microgram dissolving lozenge directly under his tongue every single morning, allowing the pure vitamin to effortlessly diffuse directly through the incredibly thin mucosal membranes in his mouth straight into his blood supply, totally bypassing the broken stomach and intestines. The rapid neurological change was so dramatic, it literally brought his skeptical daughter to her knees in tears. Within roughly 5 short weeks, the heavy, suffocating brain fog completely lifted, his agonizing nerve pain totally subsided, and he was happily, safely walking unassisted around his neighborhood. It was never Alzheimer's disease. His shrinking brain was simply chemically suffocating to death from a total lack of absorbable B12. For practical life-saving preparation, you must entirely and aggressively avoid the cheap synthetic drugstore form called cyanocobalamin, which your fragile aging body actually severely struggles to chemically detoxify. You must always specifically look for the terms methylcobalamin or adenosylcobalamin in a sublingual liquid dropper or a rapid dissolving under-the-tongue tablet. The optimal timing is first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, as B12 is incredibly heavily involved in massive cellular energy production, and taking it late in the afternoon can frequently cause severe insomnia. Your absolute ultimate biological synergy tip for B12 is to always forcefully ensure you have highly adequate cellular levels of folate, or vitamin B9. Folate and B12 are the intricate, inseparable twin engines of your fundamental DNA synthesis and your vital red blood cell production. They chemically work inextricably together in a complex process called the methylation cycle, and a severe deficiency in one will completely halt the crucial biological machinery of the other, bringing your cellular repair to a grinding halt. As we finally wrap up this incredibly vital, heavily detailed biological deep dive, I want you to take a deep, calming breath and truly internalize something incredibly important for your future. Simply getting older does not ever have to mean an inevitable, helpless, and depressing physical slide into crippling frailty, terrifying memory loss, and a total humiliating loss of your precious physical independence. Yes, your body is undeniably changing. Yes, the roaring digestive fires of your vibrant youth are significantly cooling down. But the absolute profound beauty of modern, cutting-edge nutritional science is that we now successfully possess the exact, precise, microscopic blueprints to effectively outsmart the natural aging process. By simply and strategically changing the specific chemical form, the precise daily timing, and the specific powerful biological synergies of these exactly 7 critical nutrients, you are actively and aggressively taking the steering wheel of your own biological destiny. You are physically fixing the broken cellular machinery. You are powerfully reigniting your starving brain's energy factories, and you are building an impenetrable physical fortress that will undoubtedly allow you to truly enjoy your golden years with the absolute boundless energy, crystal clear mental focus, and vibrant physical freedom that you have worked your entire long life to rightfully achieve. It is absolutely, positively never too late to heal your cells, to repair your body, and to massively transform the entire quality of your daily life. If you found this potentially life-saving, heavily researched medical information valuable today, please forcefully hit that subscribe button right now to actively join our rapidly growing, intelligent community of proactive, health-conscious seniors who absolutely refuse to settle for mediocre, outdated medical advice. And right before you close this video, drop a quick comment down below in the comment section and explicitly tell me, which one of these exactly 7 critical nutrients were you the absolute most shocked and surprised to learn your aging body has entirely stopped absorbing? I truly cannot wait to read your insightful responses and personal stories, and I will be seeing you again in the very next video.